I'm Jason with the All Things Open team. We're here with Juan. We're going to talk about open source AI, ML optimization, and a bunch more. Juan, please introduce yourself to the All Things Open community.
For sure. So my name is Juan Gomez Lagandara, and I'm passionate about the ML field and making machine learning open source.
Great. Well, welcome to the studio. I want to ask, first off, what excites you about open source AI and why is it important?
I think it's really important because it has been able to highlight more lacks and more gaps in how we build hardware and software, and how we work towards the reproducibility of these models, rather than just focusing on, we have an open weights model that people can just use and fine tune. It has really showed that we need better tools in building these models and understanding them at a deeper level than just working with what we put out there and how the community just interacts with what big companies can crank out with after a couple $1 billion that they put into a model and Hugging Face. So.
Yeah, let's take a step back for our listeners. Can you just tell everyone what machine learning is so that they have a context for this conversation?
Yes. So, oh my God, this is a really hard definition. So there's different levels into the idea of how machine learning works. So people talk about deep learning and machine learning, and then there's neural networks and stuff like that. Think of anything regarding machine learning or deep learning, think about it as a way of information compression. Not compressing like a zip file where right. At the end of the day you're making it smaller, but think of, I have a really large data set of information. How do I put it into a probability distribution so that when I have a given set of data, I can predict what the next best state would look like for what I'm trying to pass by. So.
Got it. Great. Thanks. I want to ask, how is AI being used in your organization or a community project? And can you give us some specific examples?
Yeah, so at Vanderbilt, I do know that a lot of labs are actively doing very good research in how it is being implemented into the medical field, into cyber physical systems. Engineers and researchers there, they use it sometimes to solve questions regarding code and everything. Outside of that, I would say I use it sometimes for, questions that I have regarding code, or if I'm new to a language, to try to get more information about it. But I still think people are overall trying to figure it out, especially in the research community, because we have a lot of information on how they work at a fundamental level. I've been trying to understand how this can be more of a helpful tool to us researchers, rather than hey, we're building models to solve a specific problem, right? So it's a problem everyone's trying to figure out.
Got it. There's a lot of discussion around AI's role in development. Do you think AI will replace developers one day? Okay,
hot take? No. Well, I think it's a hot take, but I think that it's an absolute resound no. The reason why it's every developer or software engineer would tell you their job is not that much of coding. Coding is actually a really small part of your job. Coding is the tool you use to get to the output of what your requirements look like. Understanding how to do diagram architectures in your head, how to structure, different parts of your network. There are languages that, they don't have multi-threading and things like that, or they may just come out with multi-threading. And how do you solve a multi-thread problem, a parallelization problem? These are things that you can have your AI agent, be trained on past examples, but if your problem is completely new, so what now? I don't think it would replace it. I think it's going to be a really good enhancer for specific problems that we may have, or people are going to be able to write code faster and get through more tickets, if you're using that approach. But outside of that, no, I don't think it's going to be a replacer anytime soon.
Perfect. Love the answer. I want to get into something a little bit different. How are AI and large language models failing the open source community right now?
Oh my God, where do I even begin? This comes, and it's part of the talk that I was giving to the ADTO. I think that everyone has been focusing on the open weights idea of, if the model is just out there, I can just use it. And the open source community has to take a step back and be hey, this isn't really software. Machine learning is not a software problem, it's a science problem. And it happens that we use code to solve that scientific problem. And once we understand that very key big distinction, we can start talking about what do certain open source tools for researchers look like in, furthering the field of what machine learning looks like. Furthermore, a little add-on to that is that I think that if we keep on writing sloppy code with AI and just put it all the time out there, we're going to have a lot of these models that are going to be trained on its own output. And at the end of the day, if you want to get better code, you need better, higher quality code that gets put out there, just rather than a bunch of AI slop, as people refer to it, on your GitHub repo.
Got it. Yep. All right. Oh, this is a great question, I think. When you think about optimization and machine learning, what's your approach?
I think the biggest problem here is what problem are you trying to solve? So you have to do like a top-down approach rather than a bottom-up, right? You first, if you're working with a pre-trained model, you have to understand what's the next thing you want to do. You want to do a downstream task fine-tuning? Do you care more about model alignment? Do you have to go back to the data? Do you have to go back to the math? Is it a hardware issue? Is it a software issue? I think it's a multifaceted problem when it comes to optimization, and understanding what your need is and where you're starting from, it's key. And based on that, I think you can maybe make some concerns and cut some things to get to a better approach for optimizing your solution. But you need to be very clear of where you want to get to, and where you're starting from, for sure.
Cool. Changing gears just a little bit. What's a new tool that you've been using to boost your own productivity?
Okay, it's not a new tool. Okay, it has been going on for a minute, but I've recently been trying NeoVim, and I absolutely love it. Okay, I hate to say it. I know everyone is on the VS Code, train, and they talk about how good it is, but it's just so quick. And the fact that I can just write my own plugins in Lua and I just get it up and running, awesome, perfect. I absolutely love it.
And it may not be new, but it's new to you. So
yes.
But it's working. That's great. Do you have a tip, best practice, or any career advice that you could share with the All Things Open community?
Just one?
I mean, you can.
Okay.
Got a few more minutes. What do you got?
So a couple of things. I think that if you're trying to get into ML and AI, you can't walk into it thinking about it as like a traditional software engineering. I think you have to go back to the planning board and think about, how does the math in this play a role? How does the hardware in this play a role? And try to get good at understanding the fundamentals of the problem, right? Don't think about it as a syntax issue, because even if you don't understand a library like Keras, or you don't understand PyTorch, you can use it in LLM generally just to ask questions about it. But try to understand, how does the math work? Why do models behave in a very specific way? Why does your data have to be distributed in a very specific way? How to do downstream task fine tuning? It is going to be very complicated for you to just grab an AI key or grab a model and start playing with it. Yeah, you're going to get some results, but you're not going to get what you want if you don't understand how things are run, why certain, building pillars in your architecture are going to be hindering you in your development. So,
okay. Are you ready for the Hot Fix Minute?
Let's do it.
Okay. These have been fun. Linux, Mac, or Windows?
Linux for desktop, Mac for the laptops.
Books, movies, or podcasts?
Books and podcasts.
Pizza, salad, or tacos?
Tacos.
Rock, country, or hip hop?
Metal.
Star Wars, Star Trek, or stargazing?
Star Wars.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini?
Running my own LLM.
The future of AI is helper bots or a robot takeover?
None of the two. We're probably going to collapse on its own.
All right.
Yeah.
Juan, you survived the Hot Fix Minute. Thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks
have a good one.
You too.